Good afternoon and welcome to day 29 of 100 Days of Sewing with Queenie Quilts. My name is Catherine Wilson and I own Queenie Quilts in California. Welcome to the studio today. As you can see, we've got lots of changes on the thing. I have put about half of the new Christmas cactus pattern by Judy on the wall. So I just returned from Quiltworks University in Williamsburg. It was last week. And this is the quilt that we worked on while we were there. So it was tons of fun. I got a lot done. There is a piece here I need to figure out. So in my original drawing, I had this middle, what is blank on the wall, colored in this pale blue. And I left it as a solid component. It does have the ability to piece it. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with it. So when I colored it in Quiltster, I had originally just did it as one solid piece. I'm not 100% sure I'm going to keep that. I really want to get the rest of the components together and see if that's what I indeed want to do. So I've been working on those on and off this today. I also managed to get these done. So when we left, while we were in the studio last time, these were on the wall but not sewn together. I did sew them together this morning. So that's taken care of. And I'll be bouncing back and forth between these two projects probably for most of the week this week as we get to situations where I need to make decisions and need to mull over them, and I'll jump over and work on that for a little while. But for today, I'm working on all the curve piecing to get these components sewn together. So if you look at this one closely, this one is sewn, this one is still as components, so they're still just little pieces, whereas this one is all together. And I'll just continue in that fashion over the next day or two, hopefully, before I get it together. It does have one final border that does not fit on the design wall. That is out of this fabric here, which you probably can't see in the thing, but is a blue and green, kind of an evergreen and navy print with a lotus leaf on it. So that goes on the very outside border, and it'll be the final piece that I assemble. Probably I'll get it on tomorrow. I have not even cut it out. So yeah, so that's where we are. If you want to see what it's supposed to look like, it looks sort of like this. So this is the original drawing from Quiltster. And as you can see, I've left that big star very plain. So make a decision on that hopefully tomorrow, so that if I do need to make it, I can get it pieced before I send it off to be quilted. To Tammy Doan is going to do the quilting on this one. She is a CI, lives in New York, and she was one of our instructors at the event. So she's actually going to do the quilting on this one. So it's headed to her hopefully by Friday. So I have, as you can imagine, a lot of things to do. In the meantime, I am going to work some more on some binding. I'm going to insert a video here on what's in my binding box. This is one of the videos that I was supposed to post up last week while I was gone. I didn't want you guys to miss it, so I'm going to go ahead and pop it in here. And while I do that, I'm actually going to settle myself on the couch and get to doing some of those bindings that I prepped yesterday. All right, so I'll insert it here. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. And then I want to know what you guys are working on. As we move into this new spring and it gets closer to market, there's more and more things that are coming out. We're starting to see them on the market. I admit I've been a little remiss. No, that's not the right word. Anxious to buy all the patterns, all the things. So as we've started to see them, so we are just a little about 6 weeks away from what is traditionally the market period. Now, obviously, we're not having market this year, but it's when all the new stuff comes out, and it's like the sign of spring for me, which I know is stupid because spring has already well happened by the time we get to the first week of May. But there's something about that weekend that's always feels like spring and the rebirth and starting new projects and doing new things. So anyway, this one again is Christmas Cactus. This one, Spice Rack. And those will be the primary projects for this week. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great... Okay, so this is my binding box. It is essentially an old Fossil watch box. It was a Christmas present. As you can see, it's got Christmas stuff all over it from my Uncle Tom, like years and years ago. I've literally worn off the paint on the edges. I carry it with me pretty much all the time. So I'm just going to quickly go through the tools that are in here and how I use them, what they're for. And you can just kind of see what I carry with me all the time. So I'm just going to open the top. The first thing are always these three together. So this is a needle keeper. It is a magnet. Mine is Harry Potter because it's me. And I'm a Ravenclaw in case anyone needs to know. So anyway, so this I just put on my shirt usually. Sometimes on the edge of a pair of shorts. As a magnet, it basically collects all the things that I might lose. So it will collect if I take my thimble off, because I'm going to be doing something, I just set it on there and it'll stick. This one will stick. So this is a little cross thimble for putting on your, like that. This one is a TJ's thimble. I wear mine on my middle finger. It does have the cutout. Get you a close-up for that one. So it has the cutout so my nail will fit. If my nails are long, if they're short, it doesn't really matter. But so those are in there. Then the other things that are in there, there's almost always a couple of spools of DMC thread. That's the one that I like most in general for binding. It's not exclusively the one I use, but it is the one that I have 200 and some odd colors of. So I do tend to like it for binding. This is Thread Heaven. They don't make it anymore. They make a different type of thread conditioner. It's basically just a sort of waxy thread conditioner that makes it glide easily and helps it not get tangled. Somewhere along the way, it had a top. It has not had a top for a number of years. I've probably had this container of it for 5 or 6 years. And as you can see, I do take this out from time to time. I'll actually grab a spoon and dig it out and then reform it into a ball and get all those little lints and threads kind of all to disappear. But I obviously don't do that very often. So that's in there. And then I have 2 of these little jars. So these are started out as clear jars at one point. So they're like a little bitty tiny clear jar that had, I think it's called decoupage. So there's tiny little clay flowers on this one. So this one has a light green background with clay flowers, and it has the needles in it. So, oops, and I use a straw needle number 10. So for binding, so that's in that one. And then this one has some pins in it. So just an assortment of pins. So that I might need when I'm doing binding. So I bought both of these from Nancy Amidon when she owned Amidon Quilt Works here in Poway, California. They've been closed for at least 5 years, so I have no idea where you'd get those today, but I absolutely love them. But anything small would probably do. I do sometimes use this one. This is a needle keeper. So this one's metal. It snaps open and close. It has a bit of a magnetic thing, so you do have to have a little bit of force on it to get it to open. And this one's designed to go on a necklace. So it has a little thing here to go on a necklace. I never wear it. I do have the cage that this thimble fits in that I do on occasion wear it if I'm going to be doing tons of binding. Or if like I'm going to be on a plane or something like that, I'm afraid I might lose it, I'll wear it as a piece of jewelry. There's a hair tie because you never know when you might need to put your hair up. This one's a plastic thimble. So this one is, if I'm doing something that's very thick, or I'm like doing a facing on canvas or something like that, and I want something to catch and run that needle from the back, I'll sometimes use that one. I don't use it all that often, but I keep it in there because that way I can always find it. And then I have a collection of needle threaders. So in using a straw needle, the hardest part is being able to thread that needle. It is a small needle, and so you need a small needle thread. And I really like these ones from Clover. I have a red one and I have a white one, or a cream colored one. Number one, they have a little head on them, a little, so it's easy to load that through the straw needle, because the thicker that metal piece is, like this one, won't go through a straw needle. It's too square and it's not bendy enough. So I like these better. And the other thing is they have over here on this side a thread cutter. So I don't need, if I'm getting on a plane and they're picky about scissors, because sometimes they are, I can use this both to cut my thread and then once I've done sewing, to cut it off. So I don't need scissors necessarily in this box. Now I do usually carry scissors in this box. They happen to not be here at the moment because I'm loading it up to go somewhere. But I usually keep a little pair of small, usually stork scissors in here. They're somewhere around this house. I don't know where. And then the final thing that's in here, well, there's a couple of other junk things in here, but this is a metal thimble that's designed to stick onto your finger like that. So this is used generally when quilting. I don't use it very often when quilting, but I do sometimes use it for applique purposes. So if I'm doing hand applique projects, I will sometimes use it. It is very small, and at the moment I don't have any. It uses a little dot of double stick tape that comes with it. Well, it comes in a package of like 12 that are the right shape and size and everything. And I'm out of them, and that's why it's sitting in here, is because I need to go and pick some up, which I have to do before I leave to go to Williamsburg. So, which is why I'm going through my binding box. So that's what's in my binding box at any given time. Really all just tools that I use all the time. And obviously I don't put them away particularly well. So because these belong in this black case here. So we'll just put them away while we're here. And then we'll go grab some scissors from the little scissor box. So that I have everything in here that I need for my weekend. So I'm going to bind on the plane on my way to Williamsburg. I have a 5.5 hour direct flight, which is a perfect amount of time to do a ton of binding. So I'll replace these colors with the colors that are the ones I need. I know I'll need black because I'm going to do the binding for this guy, which is the Antique Lighthouse you saw yesterday. And then I'm going to need a purple, probably a dark purple. When I match threads for binding, I match whatever is in the outside border on the front of the quilt, so that if I were to punch through accidentally, it would bury itself by color. So sometimes that means I will use a color that is not the color of the binding itself or the color of the backing, which those are the two that most people will match to. But I find that to ensure that those stitches get hidden 100% of the time, I always match the outside border as closely as possible. Obviously, you can't match it 100%, and that's just kind of how it is. But that's how I try to do it. So that's what's in my binding box. I'm going to go find some dark purple, some black, and then I don't know what the third one will be this time. For some reason, I always end up with 3 in my binding box. I don't know why. I don't know if I get to the third one and then I just finally, it won't fit a 4th. So do I just let it, I guess I just let it fill up and then I empty it all the next time I'm going to go bind. But I guess I've never really thought about it too much. But that's what's in my binding box. I hope this is helpful for you. I do find that this box is the perfect size for everything that I need. And as such, I put things back where they belong because everything has a place and it only fits one way. Like it only fits exactly the pieces that I have. It doesn't fit. There's not enough room for a lot of extra junk. There's not enough room, you know, for things that aren't the right size. So a large pair of scissors won't fit. Even my smallest Karen K. Buckley scissors, those favorite green handled ones that I love, they don't fit. They're just a little bit too wide. So you do have to use just a little small set of scissors. But I do find that because it's the right size, because the container is the right size and it has everything that I need, I don't ever get places and can't do binding. Even if I'm doing it with the wrong color thread, I still have all the tools, and thread is an easy thing to pick up at a shop. And it's likely that someone, even a non-sewing house, will have thread in their house. Maybe not the best thread, but they will generally have some thread. So even if, I'm somewhere that doesn't traditionally have sewing supplies, if I go to a friend's house and I'm doing binding, and it's a sewing friend, there's no chance she won't have thread. But, if I go to a family's house who doesn't sew or doesn't have a seamstress on staff in their household, I might have a bit of a hard time, especially if I go to one of my brothers, because they don't have anything. So, and fishing line doesn't work. In case you want to know, fishing line will not help you bind a quilt. You can do all kinds of other sewing projects with fishing line, but not binding. So anyway, that's my binding box. I hope this was educational, helpful for you guys. Look out around the holidays. Almost all the watch manufacturers, as well as lots of jewelry manufacturers, have these little small boxes. Mine, like I said, was a gift, but I've seen them pretty much every Christmas since. And I really probably should look into getting an updated one, but this one has so much sentimental value to me, I can't get rid of it. And it's metal, so it's going to last for forever. So that's my binding box, and I'll see you next time we're together.